Hey everyone, and welcome. Look, we all know the stories about how much bullying hurts. We know about the silent lunches, that horrible knot in your stomach. But today, we're going to tackle a question that almost no one asks. And honestly, it's the most important one if we actually want to make a real change in our schools.
Right. Let's just get straight into it. We're going to shift the spotlight here away from the what and onto the why, because you can't fix a problem if you don't know where it's coming from. Most people who bully, they aren't just waking up in the morning deciding to ruin someone's day. No, it's way more complicated than that.
And this is the core idea we're going to unpack. We're going to look at how bullying is so often not just a random act of meanness, but a learned behavior. It's like they're following an invisible script that's been handed to them. So, what's really going on behind the curtain? Let's find out. Okay, so to understand this script, we have to look past the easy labels. It's so tempting to just slap the word villain on someone and call it a day. But that stops the conversation right where it needs to start. We've got to reframe that thinking. Now, what's really powerful about looking at it this way is that it changes everything. Moving from villain to following a script doesn't excuse the behavior, not for a second. But it does give us a place to start working. Because here's the thing about a script. It can be rewritten. So why would anyone follow such a toxic script? Well, it usually comes from a place of feeling like something's missing. For some, it's about power. When you feel small and insignificant, making someone else feel even smaller is this really twisted way to feel big. For others, it's just a desperate grab for attention. Because, hey, even negative attention feels better than being totally invisible. And for a lot of kids, it's simple. They're just copying what they see, whether it's at home or all over the internet. And wow, this quote just nails it. It really gets to the hidden truth, doesn't it? When someone can't manage their own pain, their own internal chaos, they lash out. They try to control the world around them, and that includes other people. Control becomes their way of coping. And that brings us to this key concept, the shortcut. That's what bullying really is. It's a shortcut to feeling important, a shortcut to status when you don't have the internal tools like real self-esteem to build it the right way. It's a quick fix that has absolutely devastating consequences down the line. And you can actually see how this toxic shortcut gets wired into the brain. It's like a four-step process. First, it starts with a feeling of being powerless or insecure. Then, to protect itself, the brain's empathy switch can kind of flip off, which makes it easier to hurt someone else. Then, the act of bullying gives this temporary hit of control, and if that happens again and again, the brain literally learns this toxic habit, making it the go-to pathway next time. So, now that we kind of get the why, let's talk about the how, because understanding the problem is only half the battle, right? The other half is actually doing something about it. And as we're about to see, everyone, parents, educators, and learners, has a vital role to play in building that spirit of Ubuntu, that community, to finally break this cycle. Okay, parents and guardians, this is for you, and it's so important. If you realize your child might be bullying someone, it doesn't mean you failed. It just means something needs your attention. So keep an eye out for these signals. Are they suddenly way more aggressive? Do they almost seem to get a kick out of seeing others embarrassed? If you see these things, it's time to gently but firmly open up a conversation. And that conversation is key, because just punishing them, like with the suspension, that's just a Band-Aid. It doesn't fix the wound underneath. Real lasting change comes from talking, from taking accountability, and from teaching them emotional intelligence. That's what actually helps to fix the heart. And teachers, you are right there on the front line. You see the quiet stuff, the subtle social exclusion, long before it blows up. You can be the ones to champion social and emotional learning. You can build a classroom culture that celebrates kids who protect others, not dominate them. When that happens, the bully loses their audience, and with it, their power. Now, for anyone watching this who might have been the one doing the bullying, just pause for a second. This is not about shaming you. Seriously, this is about asking a real question. The person you are right now isn't the person you have to be forever. And that is such a critical point. Shame just makes you feel worse, and those negative feelings are what lead to bullying in the first place. This is about awareness. It's about seeing the script you've been following and realizing you have the power to grab a pen and write a brand new one. So how do we do that? How do we, all of us together, rewrite the script for our entire school community? Well, it starts by changing what we think it means to be strong. I mean, this slide really says it all. The old toxic script says that strength is about having power over other people. But the new script, the one we need to build, says that real strength, that's self-control. It's the ability to manage your own feelings, to choose kindness when it would be easier to be cruel. And look, this isn't some big, abstract idea. It's about small choices you can make right now. You have the power in your hands to delete that nasty comment, to shut down that rumor when you hear it, to offer a hand instead of a fist. Every single one of those actions starts to change your story.
So in the end, it really comes down to this question. For every one of us, whether you're a parent, a teacher, or a student, bullying culture doesn't just vanish. It changes one choice at a time, one conversation at a time. So what's your role going to be?